Someone once said, I'd rather have a spicy soundbite that gets played over and over again in the media than like have this great long article published in Vanity Fair or the New Yorker. Because the soundbite is what people remember. And in Matthew, I'm sure when Jesus healed this person, it was this long, kind of, you could make a movie about this one healing. Matthew says, get rid of all the filler. I just want to have exactly what happened and a couple sound bites from the mouth of Jesus or from the mouth of people around him to get exactly what the point is that I want to get across. And so you can read Matthew like a novel if you want to, just like whip through the stories, but it's not really meant to be read like that, because Matthew seems to have, okay, here's 4 verses, here's the point. Sit on this for a bit. The next story may not even be chronological, but the point is thematic-logical. The themes go together. That's really important to know as you read the Bible. You may have a couple little stories and Matthew puts them together, truncates them, and says, here's the punch. So we really got to pay attention to the punch. We can't whip past the punch, even if it's one sentence. Well, what happens next? We can't think like that in Matthew. You've got to think, where's the punch and what is it about? Matthew chapter 8, verse 1. When Jesus came down from the mountainside, what was Jesus doing on the mountainside? If you remember a few months ago, we did a series called The Upside Down Manifesto. Anyone remember that one? This was right after he gave the Upside Down Manifesto. So 5, 6, and 7, it says, this is what Christians do, this is how they think, this is how they react. It's very upside down compared to everyone else. He's just given that sermon. Now he's done for the day. He's tired. He's going home. He's walking down the mountain. Crowds, however, large crowds, aren't letting him be done with the day, so they followed him. They can't get enough of Jesus. Verse 2, a man with leprosy came. Now you need to know, when we think of leprosy, I think of noses falling off, ears falling off, fingers falling off, because when you're a leper you don't have physical sensation. You can't tell when your fingers caught on fire because your nerve endings don't work. That's really the problem with leprosy, is your nerves don't work. We picture that, but if you look closely at the book, I don't know if your Bible has a little footnote. It says the Greek word traditionally translated leprosy was used for various diseases affecting the skin. So this guy could have had lupus. You know, people have lupus sometimes have pock marks and seemingly different colorations on your face or your skin. Could have had extreme eczema or psoriasis. It could have been any type of visible skin condition that made him stand out from everybody else. A man with leprosy came, and he knelt before him. Now you notice there that the man with leprosy does not come up to Jesus and say, Jesus, I'm entitled to something here. Can you heal me, please? When you kneel down in front of somebody, the message given is, I'm nothing, you're everything. You're the king, I'm the servant. This is homage. This is me saying, I'm on dirt, I am dirt. I am completely needy. The only one that can help me is you. So he kneels down before him and he says, Lord, again continuing that theme, he says, Lord, or translated master. I'm the servant, you're the master. If you are willing, and he says, this is completely contingent on your willingness. I am not coming to you saying, I know you heal everyone who has faith. It's my turn now. He says, no, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Clean there is a very important word, because in Leviticus 13 and 14, which I'm not going to bore you with, the author there goes into great detail about skin diseases and leprosy and lupus and eczema and all those types of things where you physically, your skin looks different. And there's a bunch of strict rules. If you lived back then during that time and you had an obvious skin condition, you would have to stay away from people. Anytime you came close to people, you have to yell out, look at me, I'm unclean. You would have to live outside the city, leave your family. One, because perhaps it was contagious, so these rules, even though they treated that person quite, all of a sudden they have no friends other than other lepers. Perhaps it's contagious and we can protect the community from this way. The second reason was, they viewed that kind of illness, both spiritual and physical. They didn't dichotomize or separate spiritual and physical. They saw it as one. So they would see this guy with leprosy, and they say, you don't just need to be healed, because it's not just physical for you. You need to be cleaned. need to be forgiven and clean, because perhaps it's sin that has caused this to happen. That's the way they thought. So when, let's say this person's skin condition started to recover, started to clean up, he would have to go to the temple, and they would have to do a sacrifice for his sins and then pronounce him clean. So this wasn't really about healing, it was about being clean, which is spiritual clean, spiritually forgiven, and physically clean, physically forgiven. So this man, he comes up to Jesus, kneels down before him and says, "You're the boss, I'm nothing. I don't deserve anything from you. But if you are willing, you can make me clean. You can clean me spiritually. You can clean me physically." This man had been on an external journey of suffering. God had allowed him to get a terrible sickness that ostracized him from everyone. But in that external journey, he said, I need to have spiritual journey here. I need to let the external serve the spiritual, and I need to come to someone who can help me. If he'd been born physically healthy, he might never have found his way to Jesus. He might never have thought, I have a need, both physical and spiritual. I need to break all the rules, because here he's breaking rules. You don't see him in the story saying, I'm unclean, I'm unclean. You don't see him standing 6 feet away on a windy day. You don't see him standing 150 feet away like he's supposed to. He comes right up, breaks all the rules, because his sickness had caused him to seek out questions and seek out answers that he would not normally have looked into. Anyone ever been there? In your broken time, whether you're sick, or a relationship has gone bad, or emotional difficulty, or other kind of broken things in your life, things you didn't predict, things you didn't want to happen, God allows them to happen. All of a sudden you say, I've been way too focused on, you don't think like this, but here's what happens. I've been way too focused on the physical. There's something inside of you that needs to be looked at. And so you go to God, you go on your knees and you say, Lord, I need some help here. It's not working. That's what happens here. God allows him to be super sick to heal his soul. He allows him to be broken physically to heal him spiritually. Verse 3. Jesus reached out his hand and he touched the man. Jesus, not always, but often, he would have no problem touching unclean people. That's the kind of guy he was. He just loved people. This guy probably hasn't been touched his entire last few years or life. Jesus says, that's not a problem with me. I know I'm not going to get dirty from you, but you may just get clean from me. He says, I am willing. Be clean. And immediately he was cleaned of his leprosy. Now we would love that to be the end of the story, because that would kind of fit in with the way we think. Okay, here's a man, desperate, comes to God, believes that God can do it, says, hey, I'm not entitled to this, but I'd love, love, love you to do this for me. And that's what we do, right? When he becomes, Lord, I'd love you to heal me, or heal my loved one, or don't let this person suffer. And Jesus seems to be obligated. Hey, you're showing the kind of faith. You've hit that thing hard enough. The bell has rung. I am now willing, because you've shown the desperation you need. That would fit in with the distortion that Christians live with and that non-Christians live with, those who have given up faith because God hasn't given them the prize when they've seemingly rung the bell. And that's why I think Matthew puts in this last sentence, and Jesus says this last bit to clarify many of our distortions. So if we left at the end of verse 3, we could walk out here and say, hey, when I get super sick, or my loved ones, or my child, or my parents, I'm going to just reenact what this guy's doing. Lord, on my knees, you're only willing, look at me, you can do it. Verse 4, this is the punch. Then Jesus said to him, he said, see that you don't tell anyone. Hold on a second, that doesn't really fit at all, does it? What Jesus is saying is, I don't want you, I just healed you physically and spiritually. I don't want you running all over the place telling everybody that I've healed you physically, because they're going to think that they can come to me and get healed physically. I don't want you telling everybody, because they're going to misunderstand who I am. They're going to think that I came to be a great healer, and that's not why I've come. So I don't want you to go out and spread all of this news of how happy you are that I've healed you. Don't tell everybody about it. Because I don't want everybody coming back here and saying, heal me, I'm next in line, look at me, I'm desperate, I'm on my knees too, just like that other guy was. That's not my priority, is healing people physically. If that's the way you think about me, you're misunderstanding me. Jesus says, don't tell anybody about it. Okay, Jesus, then who are you then? If you haven't come to be the great healer, who have you come to be? Who can we tell people that you are?